Tonight, on Legislative Review. A controversial legislation on excise tax advances in the House. And the highly contentious Parental Rights Bill passes both chambers. You're watching Legislative Review. Thank you for watching Legislative Review. I'm Angela Nolasco with today's top discussions in the state legislature.
House will be in order. Third order of business, messages from the Senate. Clerk will read.
State lawmakers have got their hands full during this last week of session as bills make their way through the legislative pipeline, debating on the floor during some evenings that stretch well into the early morning hours of the next day. This was the case for the House on Thursday, when state representatives debated several bills under a controversial tax package proposed by Senate Democrats. Among these bills, one that attempts to modernize Washington's excise tax to fund social services, healthcare, and public schools. Senate Bill 5814 would tax all nicotine products, including nicotine pouches, at 95% of the sales price. And, for the first time, services like IT support, staffing agencies, and security would be taxed, raising over $5 billion in revenue. The biggest piece of the pie would come from taxes applied to computer and IT-related services, temporary staffing agencies, security services, services such as data processing, and certain kinds of advertising. These types of services weren't all taxed before, but under this proposal, they would be. The tax on cigarettes is estimated to be at an extra $2 per pack, so smokers could see prices go up significantly. Synthetic nicotine products would also be taxed unless they're FDA approved to help people quit. Under the bill, large businesses, those with over $3 million in sales, would be asked to prepay some of their sales taxes starting in 2027. That means they'd have to send the state part of their tax money a month early, which could help balance the state's budget sooner. There are some exceptions, however. For example, telemedicine, hospital staffing services, and business services shared within the same company group would be exempt. Supporters say it will modernize the tax system while helping fund public programs, and that profits would support the most vital services in underserved areas. The House made a few key amendments to the bill, exempting IT consulting services from being taxed, exempting specific forms of advertising in print and broadcast media, and removing the additional tax on cigarettes, as well as the one-time prepayment of sales tax for certain businesses. Speaking in favor of the bill, Democratic Representative April Berg.
This bill helps modernize our outdated tax code. As you know, Mr. Speaker, our tax code is reliant on not all of the legs of the stool of tax systems. So we have to rely on property tax, sales tax, and business and occupation tax to fund our state. As a result, we are the 49th most regressive state in taxation.
However, critics worry it could raise costs for consumers and burden businesses already dealing with tight margins, many of them believing it will face legal consequences. Speaking against the bill, Republican Representative Jim Walsh.
We set our budgets first, and then we desperately look for the money to cover the expenses. That's what this proposal is. That's why structurally it doesn't make a lot of sense. That's why it's a patchwork of bits and pieces here and there. That's why we cut the tax on cigarettes, but are keeping the tax increase on the stuff that gets you off of cigarettes. This proposal doesn't make sense, Mr. Speaker, and it doesn't make sense because it's been made in a desperate cash grab move to jack up state taxes. This is not good public policy.
The House voted on the bill.
The Speaker is about to lock the roll call machine. The Speaker has locked the roll call machine. Clerk will take the record.
Mr. Speaker, there are 50 yeas, 47 nays, 1 excused.
Having received the constitutional majority in gross substitute Senate Bill 5814 as amended by the House is declared passed.
Later that day, the Senate concurred with the House amendments and passed the bill.
Mr. President, there are 26 yea, 22 nay.
And received a constitutional majority in gross substitute Senate Bill 5814 as amended by the House is declared passed. The title of the bill will be the title of the act.
With concurrence, the bill has been agreed to by both the House and Senate and heads to the governor's desk for a signature. Contentious legislation on parents' rights is back in the spotlight after gaining Senate approval along party lines earlier this month. House Bill 1296, as written, aims to establish a set of rights for students, their parents, and school staff, including the right to free speech, religious expression, and access to education free from discrimination. These rights would be shared with students through materials including lessons in civics courses. The bill would also protect teachers and staff from retaliation if they support students' rights, including LGBTQ+ rights, or teach in ways that align with state learning standards. It also seeks to allow parents to enroll their children in public school regarding of their immigration or housing status and file complaints if their child faces bullying or harassment. Supporters believe it will ensure students, including those in marginalized groups, have a safe and supportive place to learn and prioritize student safety and privacy without fear of discrimination or bullying. They argue that it aligns with Initiative 2081, the 2024 Parents' Rights Initiative. However, that's one of the bill's major points of contention, as some see it as not just a bill about protecting students' rights, but a measure to modify parts of I-2081. Particularly with the parental notification if their child is involved in a school incident or a healthcare decision that the student wants to keep private. Some parents feel the bill would undermine their role in making decisions about their children's education and health decisions when they should have the ultimate say. Critics also worry that the bill's emphasis on LGBTQ+ student protections could lead to conflicts between school policies and family values. During Thursday's floor debate, Democratic Representative Sharon Tomiko Santos spoke on the Senate amendments and urged the House to concur.
Where you will find the greatest changes in the amendment is really around the accountability for ensuring the protection of students' safety, their civil rights, and their access to a basic education. The amendment provides the parameters and directs the duties of the superintendent to adopt a process by July 1st, 2026, and clarifies that school directors have a duty to support the laws of the state of Washington.
Speaking against the concurrence, Republican Representative Michael Keaton said it will pose a problem for small school districts.
And they see the stuff that has been brought forward within the amendment as very controversial, as stuff that's going to drive their district apart and have them focus on things other than education.
The House concurred with the Senate amendments and the bill went into final passage, where both support and opposition came from both sides of the aisle. Speaking in support, Democratic Representative Lillian Ortiz-Self.
As an educator, I don't get to choose which parent's voice, values, or morals I listen to in that classroom or in that building. My job is to make sure that everybody's voice is heard.
Sharing his strong opposition to the bill, Republican Representative Dan Griffey.
I had a meeting with a whole group of parents because a transitioning male started showering without the parents' notification with the young girls. With the new language in here, OSPI is going to be able to double down again and say, if you don't force young girls to shower with people that are transitioning, we will remove your funds.
The House voted on the bill.
Madam Speaker, there are 59 yeas, 39 nays, 0 excused.
Having received a constitutional majority, engrossed substitute House Bill 1296, as amended by the Senate, is declared passed.
Having passed both chambers, the bill advances to the governor's desk for signature. Sunday, the 27th, the day of adjournment, is known as Sine Die.
Hearing no objection, the Senate is adjourned. Sine Die.
On Sine Die, TVW will feature live interviews with state legislators from inside the Capitol on a special edition of The Impact. That's it for this episode of Legislative Review. Make sure to join us nightly at 8 and 11 for your highlights on the state legislature. And follow us on social media. Have a good night.